what do we make of this in the Rings of Power? Because now that we've read through Akalabeth, obviously in the Rings of Power, they still don't have the license to this, but this is an expansion of what are in the appendices to the Return of the King.
Right.
So when they can't, like we mentioned last week, they can't even get the motivation of the Númenorians right? They could point towards that more in the second season, but certainly they missed it in the first. And if you're going to make any point about the Númenorians and their motivations, that would be the point to have fun.
Well, they did. They have plenty of motivations. Númenorians are scared of people taking their gerb.
They took our job.
And they're really careful about the 3 ships that they own to make sure that they don't.
But so
our Pharazôn is like, we need to build a wall, a great wall.
A great wall.
Keep out all the elves.
The greatest wall.
Yeah. Oh man. If we it's like I don't even know where to start anymore, like talking about this. What is the one thing, like after reading through this, that you might take away and say, like, okay, here's where the Rings of Power got it right.
5 minutes later.
The wall of water.
The one wall of water. Yeah, was that like episode 4 or something? When she was when she's holding a Palantir.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the wall of water.
They got the part
right. However, they got it wrong that Galadriel was seeing that.
Oh yeah, of course. Like all the details are going to get wrong. You just asked me for one thing. Tar Palantir himself, the fact that they had Tar Palantir and that he was intimated to be a friend of the elves and a returning to the old ways. I mean, there's some vague references that are kind of right. It's just a series of missed promise. There's so much that I would have loved to have been so excited by this series, because there's the Númenorian story is so powerful and could be so rich, and they could fill it out, because of course what Tolkien gives us is only a sketch. There's here in the Silmarillion, there's only one chapter about it, and then there's other stuff that we know from his from the Fall of Númenor.
The book,
the book collection, and others, and some from his letters. But it's so rich, and they missed the central theme. That's what I don't even get. I do not understand that. How do you miss putting in? It doesn't even take any talent. The entire driving purpose of the downfall of Númenor and who they were as a people was centered around their fear of death and their desire for the light of the blessed land and to be able to sail there. That's what they wanted.
Yeah, I will say the one thing they got right was that Sauron was guileful.
All right,
that's about as close as I can get. Right?
Yeah, I don't think that they can tell that story though, Michael, because I think they don't understand that being a bad thing. They don't understand. It's like back in Genesis in the garden, we shall be like God. They don't have a problem with that, and so to have that be the bad thing that brings them down, they wouldn't get it.
They're like, we disagree with that the Númenorians were actually making a bad decision when they decided to take on the Valar in the Undying Lands.
So yet another example then of the story that they think Tolkien should have wrote. They decided to write it instead.
We want to be right next to him on the bookshelf with a story that he never wrote. But in fact, what they're doing is they're retelling the story that he already wrote, just doing it incredibly poorly. This is what I don't get. Anyway, okay.